originally started as just an artist, and so I came into it from that angle. I always worked with writers, and over my career, the opportunities came to me to write more. I guess I'll speak about this maybe from my development into a writer. And that's been a huge difference for me as opposed to how I started my career. Realize the strength, the power of an idea or a story. I always think back to like humans as storytellers. Like ancient man. Probably the first gatherings were maybe like storytelling times, and for me, that's been huge. There's something about creating an idea, something that hasn't existed before, that you as a creative person can come up with and somehow translate down onto a piece of paper. I love telling a story in comic form, especially words and pictures together, coming together to give life to an idea. I think that's huge. There's been many, many times where I've come up with an idea. Sometimes it'll be something that'll just kind of come to me at night. I'll just have this idea, and it's really exciting. I can't wait to like get it down on paper and see how that whole process, where that takes you. It's an amazing thing. I love that aspect of comics, the writing aspect. Hopefully I'm a decent writer. I don't know, but it's crazy. It's giving life to an idea and the characters. It's brilliant. It's amazing. It's kind of hard to describe. Dante, I've been drawing since I was a little kid. It's somehow it was nothing I had to nurture or develop. It was always there. It kind of came automatically. When I was in grade school, probably even before that, I have these memories, and my parents have told me since I could hold a pencil, I've been putting art on paper. I've been drawing, what's in my head. And all through school, I was probably not a very good student. I was always kind of like the guy in the back row, kind of with their head down, drawing pictures. I remember like these big battle scenes. I would draw like battleships and planes flying around and all this other stuff. And I just had to do it. It was like a compulsion, I guess. Coming to a show, I talk to people, and that's one of the cool things I think about the Turtles is there was something in their nature, something about that property that kind of spoke to people kind of on a more intimate level, I think, than maybe, a superhero would or something. I don't know what it was about it. Maybe the sense of family or the brothers, a sense of, the father trying to instill in the brothers, his sons, a sense of honor and duty maybe. But, tons of people had told me, how it really truly affected them as they were growing up or going through a hard time in their life, perhaps. And not only, boys, but girls as well. It seemed like a property that girls, there was kind of this odd appeal to girls as well, which I think is really cool,
Where are you on the Turtle timeline? Can you explain where you at on the Turtle timeline?
It was so weird because I went to art school. I got actually my bachelor's in illustration, and at the time I was kind of into comics. I was more into comics when I was younger, and then less so maybe when I went to art school, kind of very peripherally. And I met this guy in art school, and he was doing a comic, and it kind of something kind of just went ping again, and my style has always been cartoony, so maybe more like comic book appropriate rather than like illustration. But that happened, and it was just through a set of really fortunate circumstances that I got to meet Kevin and Pete. And then again, I knew it. That was a moment when everything kind of fell together. I'm lucky, a lot of people that never happens for, but I just knew that's what I wanted to do. I frickin' love comics, and it was really cool because Kevin and Pete were a couple of young guys. I think at the time, maybe Steve Levine was, when I first met Kevin and Pete, Steve was living with Kevin. So, and there were kind of these goofy guys kind of like playing around, and they had toys, and they were shooting each other with dart guns. I couldn't believe it. It was a revelation. And those guys very kindly offered me a job, kind of right on the spot, inking. That was my first job with Mirage. From that day, it's been history, and all these guys together. It was like a family. You said you watched the documentary. We would goof around. We would play together. We would drink together. We would, draw comics together. It was really, really. I'm the luckiest guy in the industry, probably. And then, all through that, Turtles got sold in 2009, I believe. And then freelancing since then, the guys have kind of drifted apart, I think. I kind of thought more we'd stay together as a family, but, different forces kind of like pulling people in different directions. I don't see the studio guys so much these days, except for a couple. I'm still in the same studio in Northampton where I've always worked with the Turtles, working on my own. I launched a kind of a superhero-ish book a couple of months ago. I kickstarted that, so that's what I'm working on now. Having a lot of fun. But all through the Mirage time, and even ever since then, I'm still doing comics. Like I said earlier, I'm compelled to do it. There's something about it. It's like breathing for me. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I want to do comics until the day, the arthritis in my hand can't allow me to hold a pencil anymore. It's the best thing for me.